Hello and welcome to the Solo Inter podcast, a podcast where we discuss all things Inter, the transfers, the reviews, the previews, the matches, everything related to Inter and more than that. We've it's probably I guess not the greatest time being an Inter fan after what we've just witnessed, crashing out of the Champions League, finishing bottom of our group for the first time ever in our history. It has enraged a lot of Interisti. So, directly delving into things, directly jumping into things. Manish, I'd like to ask you what happened, like what happened against Shakhtar? Was it all avoidable from the get-go, from the first match where we faced Mönchengladbach? Where do you think we lost it? Where do you think, where do you personally feel like where did you personally feel we couldn't make past the group stages? It was the same scenario yet again, from the first two seasons of since our return to the Champions League. Always wait until the last day to qualify. Can't have it. We couldn't just have the destiny in our own hands. So where do you think it all went wrong to begin with?
Yes, first of all, ciao ragazzi, everybody. Welcome to the new podcast. It's very interesting, Solo Inter podcast. So yes, Parmeshwar, it was complete blackout, I think, from our whole team. Not just by the players, the management, the fans all around the world. It was complete blackout. Like nobody had a clue, like what is going on. It was crazy. Saying that, it was a very dull and game where you could see from the first half itself, like the match is going to end very badly. Yeah. So I expected maybe last dying minutes, Shakhtar will hit us on the counter. But saying that, it's not lost on the last day. It was lost well in the beginning. I think the first game against Mönchengladbach, where we were supposed to win at San Siro, we found a late equalizer, wanted drew it 2-2. And then the next game at Shakhtar, at least we should have made immense of the first game. But that again, we screwed it up and made it 0-0 draw. And that itself, and that second day itself, I would say in day two is the day when we all realized like this Champions League, it's out of our hands. But that came like a lifeline when I think Real Madrid was completely out of form and they were surprised. So there came again a chance of hope. And hope is a very dangerous word for everyone, including us Inter fans, because all the seasons has been based on hope really. So, and this season was nothing new. It was again the same scenario where we are just based on hope and praying God in the last 5 minutes. I said this in last podcast that it's not going to be easy ride for us. Maybe last 10 or 15 minutes we are going to literally cry and somehow I'm hoping God answer our prayers. So it was again, like Parmesh, what to say, the match, very shambolic game, very painful game. I think many Inter fans couldn't sleep after the game for a week or so. So yeah, let's hope we make amends for the tomorrow's game against Cagliari. There should be some changes from Conte's side. But saying that again has been a very disappointing result, the Champions League. I'm at least glad that we are completely out and we can focus solely on the league. That's my take, Parmesh. What about you? How was your take for the game?
So yeah, Manish, I mean, first what you just concluded with, that you're glad that, we completely crashed out of the Champions League. I remember, addressing this on the one of, I think the podcast with when Rahul Sharma had joined us. I said that I would still take being in the Europa League. I think that's what I said. But whatever it is, I'm overall glad that, it's that we are out completely because Conte, everyone knows it. There's a saying, or if you don't know if you want to believe it or not, he is one of the best managers, if not the best, when he has like 7 days or like only one competition to focus on. Like he knows what to do. He knows what like how to prepare. He can address his tactics accordingly. He knows the teams in the league. He's well versed with that. So he knows exactly what he's doing when he doesn't have too many matches to play, like too many competitions to address. So I guess it's sort of a blessing in disguise, right? I mean, right now Conte has to deliver, right? Right. It's like now it's all or nothing, right? We have to push for the Scudetto because it's his job on the line. Like I know it's not easy to sack him, Manish, but the thing is, the Champions League campaign was one of the. It is now in our history the most disappointing campaign ever. We've never finished last before. 6 points in 6 matches. That's like 1 point per game. it's really disappointing for a club like Inter. Like we shouldn't be going through this, right? I mean, even like if you put Spalletti's one Champions League season in perspective, even he's got managed to get more points than Conte. Like like in this than what we got this season. So like I know that Conte is not that kind of manager who does well in Europe. We all know his track record. He's crashed out with Juventus to the Europa League. He's even crashed out of the Europa League with Juventus. So I know it's not the best of records, but like at some point you have to think, Manish, that if you're playing in such a competition like the Champions League, isn't don't you want to at least make it to the next round? The revenue. Now earlier, while ago, I was reading that Gianluca Di Marzio, as you know, one of the best there is, he reported that Conte wants Rodrigo De Paul. So now, how do you get him Rodrigo De Paul? You need the money, but for that, you need to do your bit as a coach. See, I'm not pinning the entire loss on him, but it comes down to these small factors where as a coach he could be more flexible in general. You know, we have all spoken about it. You have said it, Manish. That three-man defense, even though it's a common trend in modern football, it doesn't work at times. Right? We've seen all the issues surrounding Conte. So there's a lot to think about. Like I was watching the match against Shakhtar. Conte complained about Shakhtar sitting deep. They all teams sit deep against us, but then that's a tactic. You can't blame them for sitting deep, right? We've done it
I
too.
think
Like
that was one of the lamest excuse, yeah?
yeah,
Like the
exactly,
sitting deep.
Manish.
What more you want to hear?
Yeah, exactly. Isn't that what we did against Shakhtar when we beat them 5-0? Exactly what we did. So they just returned the favor. And it was really heartbreaking initially. Like I can't believe that. Like it's really hard to take something. Like it's really hard to take it because I see Lazio in the round of 16. At the end of the day, and Lazio it's their first season in like what 13 years, over a decade, and they've already reached the round of 16. So it does hurt me, but I guess we move right. Like it's all about the Scudetto right now. For like I hope the team bounces back from this. I was reading Conte's presser, and he was like, we are in that zone where it's not easy to bounce back, but everyone has to focus now. There's no option. Like you have to keep winning. There is no other choice, right? Like there's nothing left. Like there's nothing else left to do. There's only two competitions: Coppa Italia, Serie A. And if he's only going to win the Coppa Italia in 2 seasons, I don't think that's impressive, right? So let's see. But yeah, Manish, moving on, I guess, looking at other things also. I wanted to address something different. Just coming back to the main topics. I was see, as a neutral football fan, I guess you expect common courtesy and basic respect from other clubs as well, in general, right? Like, not from rivals, obviously, they are your rivals, so they do get to banter around. But I was personally very disappointed with how Shakhtar Donetsk, basically conducted themselves with regards to Lukaku. Wherein you must have seen that they, trolled him, posted, Lukaku saved us in the 89th minute. And yes, these days you have seen, accounts like the one run by Leverkusen, Bayern Munich, they do have a tendency to troll others and all. But was there the need to take the shot at Lukaku? It's not that Lukaku had really said anything, right? Like he's never said anything bad about Shakhtar. Like, he's never done anything. I mean, that Lukaku's easy to target. Anyone, United fans, it's just easy to just attack Lukaku whenever possible. So what do you make of all that? Like just uncalled for. And Shakhtar got lots of likes and retweets on that tweet. So what do you make of it all? Like, was there the need for this? I know I am an Inter fan, so I of course didn't like it. But if you had to give a perspective as a neutral, I know it's not easy to do that because it's not easy to see someone or one of your own players, one of your best players being bantered around like that. So what do you make of it all?
So, Parmeshwar, like I said, social media is a very dangerous tool nowadays. Yeah. So
Mm,
people do anything, just about anything to get attention.
mm,
So, like I think it all started with Lukaku, just I think few days before the match announced to the whole world like he's one of the top five best strikers of the world. So what happens is when you're at that level, you
mm,
attract attention. And it's like people know now, okay, Lukaku is doing really well at Inter. So Lukaku has created that so-called hype as himself, going on the interview saying that he's one of the top five best strikers in the world. So in saying that, if it was any other player, I'm sure Shakhtar wouldn't actually, for example, it hit Gagliardini's head or maybe it hit D'Ambrosius' head, it wouldn't be much of a news. But the fact that it hit Lukaku's head and Lukaku previous run, if you remember the Champions League, the Europa League semi-final, Lukaku is the one which destroyed Shakhtar. Lukaku had an amazing run, 40, 50-yard run, and he scored. And then I think once FIFA game less rank, I think on ratings for his speed, and which Lukaku himself replied to EA Sports and FIFA on that post saying that, have you seen my goal against Shakhtar? You can see my speed in that. So basically, social media, people use that too. So I just think that it's a bad taste in our mouth, obviously, because we are the ones suffering now. But yeah, it is more like a troll incident. Yeah. So it's just, I think we all should just laugh it off.
Mm.
It would be foolish to blame Lukaku for that goal. Yeah, for all he has done. He's his main player. He's a main target man. So we must support our player. All right. Yeah, I think if the same happened with Cristiano Ronaldo or Messi, obviously the fans would make a joke out of it. But yeah, just end of the day, it's rivalry, football rivalry. So we should also take in a light heart, laugh it off. And when there comes a situation where we can repay it, we should repay it by on the pitch, I would say. That would be the right answer. But if you're saying that, Parmesh, if you've seen the Juventus and Barcelona, the way they troll each other, I think the first game where
Mm.
I think at Juventus Stadium where Messi played well. So I think Barca Twitter handle put out saying that at least you could finally see the goat playing on your pitch. To which Juventus replied saying that no, we will return. We'll send you the actual goat at New Camp. So it's all like fun and games basically, Parmesh. Let's not all take it seriously. That's all I would say.
Yeah, Manish. I'm actually glad that you brought that up. Actually, that's a very interesting perspective. After the Champions League draw, and after we crashed out, I really didn't think from that perspective. I was just a bit enraged in general, personally, when Shakhtar did that, because for the way I thought of it was because it's very easy to target Lukaku, right? He gets told for every goddamn thing, every small thing. It's always Lukaku. It's so easy to target him. So that's what was going on in my mind. But thanks for sharing this perspective, actually, because it's a better way of seeing it. In fact, uh, I hope Lukaku doesn't pay too much attention to all this, because we all know his caliber at the end of the day. But yeah, moving on. So that was that, and I wanted to touch upon Conte's press conferences, the post-match press especially. I'll touch upon the Shakhtar game a bit. We haven't discussed it yet fully, but I just wanted to touch upon his press conferences first. So this guy, I mean, see, I'm still not anti-Conte. I'll just make that clear. I'm not Conte out or anything. So he, as I mentioned a while ago, he first of all, blamed Shakhtar for being too defensive. He didn't blame them, but that's what he implied. That, Shakhtar is two defensive teams, change their formation against us, they sit back. That's one. Second of all, he Capello and him got into a tussle wherein Capello said, "You don't have a plan B. Where is it?" But Conte went on to say, "I have a plan B, but if I say it right now in front of you, it'll get leaked." I guess that was more of a sarcastic reply, because Conte, as we know, doesn't really have a plan B. So it was for me very ironical to see someone like Capello, who has controversial opinions, take it to Conte. And Conte was being really rude from what I saw and read. Like, he didn't reply, and I don't blame him when you're in a tussle with Capello, but he even ended up being rude to one of his friends, Alessandro Costa Curta, the legendary Alessandro Costa Curta. He was being disrespectful to him as well. So what do you think of all this? Like, he even lashed out at the Sky reporter, who just asked him a question, as in, why did you make your substitutions late? Why did you bring Perisic in late? Why did you bring Sanchez in late? So all he said is like, you try being the coach, don't tell me what to do, is basically what he said. So he was really in a foul mode. And also, what do you make of this? Like, it's like, I go back to the time when Conte, says, "I need more protection from the club." If you remember all that drama, he always says, "I want protection. I don't get any protection." But doesn't it all begin by respecting others as well? I know it's not easy to face criticism, Manish, but doesn't it all begin with, the fact that you need to be stable in your own way? Like, Conte lashes out so frequently. He says things he's not supposed to. It's so random. So what do you make of all this? Do you think do you think that he needs to like change himself, or do you think he should stay the same way so that he can channel that on the pitch as well? How do you see this?
So I would say one thing. I think in the heat of the moment, we just got eliminated for the first time. I think in the history for the longest time. So obviously, heat of the moment, that pressure, and for some reason, Conte has the mentality. It's us against them. It's us against them, or the whole world is against us. Now, if any reporter asks a question or any journalist asks a question, irrespective who it is, Conte is going to feel the same way. So he's taking that negative vibes. Uh, so I was surprised too seeing that, because Capello is one of the greatest legends, and I thought just because Capello asked, he answered it quite okay. If anybody else asked the same question, you would completely lash out on him. So, but yes, he asked a very valid question, like what it's not like I said, from the halftime itself, you could see that the match is not going out the way we planned it out. So that's where any other coach would go for plan B. Okay, this first half didn't go as per plan. We go for a different approach. But saying that Conte has no plan B, it's like, Capello smacked the nail right in the center of the head. Like, that's a spot on question. So, which I think all of a sudden Conte was clueless. He had nothing to say. He just had to blabber something out. So yeah, I'm just saying, Parmesan, let's not get that, because you know what? It's heat of the moment. We just got eliminated, and all of a sudden he feels like everyone's attacking him. And he kept saying that previously on previous occasions, the club is not there to support me. I think that's why we could see a statement by Zhang saying, assuring that we want Conte to project his very mind on focus. We're focusing on the league and we're focusing on the Italian Cup. That's a pretty much standard response by the club. And if the club hadn't done that, then Conte will go out lashing out in the media. You'll see a sulking Conte for the next couple of weeks. So I'm at least happy that Inter management stood by him and said, you know what, okay, this result came. We still focused on our goals and objectives this season. That is the Scudetto, which I think is a good way to do it. But saying that, yes, Conte is a very emotional guy. You can expect more from him. He has this mentality, pretty much like Mourinho had it in his younger days, where he feels like it's the whole world against us. And I hope you remember this this greatest symbol from all. Yeah, so pretty much don't be surprised when Conte will be doing it very soon. Yeah, so that started a movement, revolutionary movement. So yeah, Parmeshwar, that's in Conte's nature. That's one thing similar between Conte and Mourinho. But the only difference, Mourinho would take that on the pitch. You could see the anger, you could see the frustration. Players, what happens? There's no point seeing Conte getting pissed. Conte has to transmit, like communicate to his team, and the same anger should be in each and everyone stepping on the field. I hope it starts with Cagliari game. Inter should go out and destroy Cagliari. If it has the reverse effect, then Conte is again going to start the same old banter and start the same old story saying that, yes, like, I'm surprised where Conte's stupid answer was that he said Champions League referees didn't support him. And that's a really lame excuse. If our players are not finishing, there's no point blaming the referees. That he should have taken on himself and the team. Yeah, so let's hope. Parmish, the positive side to that is he should channelize that all negativity into the focusing and only on the league, and that should be a main objective for this season. That's all I hope from this interview. We could see that. What's your take, Parmeshwar? What do you think on that?
Yeah, so as I said this before, I mean, I agree with you, Gautam. He at least tries to be like Jose Mourinho. I don't think he is. He tries really hard, in my opinion, because as you said, Gautam, Mourinho would, sorry, Manish, you have been out of it, I guess. So, but yeah, Mourinho used to take it to the pitch, right? Like and he would play his mind games perfectly. He wouldn't get rustled, or he wouldn't, be affected by what others said too much. But this guy here, he just can't. You just say one thing about him and he loses it completely. I mean, see, that's probably his best way of, doing well for the team and taking that anger out on the pitch as well. But at times it gets to him, like it really does, and it's not good for him. It's not good for the club when he throws random shots at people. But with that being said, I guess as you're right, I guess it's heat of the moment stuff. Nobody likes it when you're eliminated. You're thrown questions like, why didn't you make this change? Why didn't you make that change? Don't you think your stubbornness cost you? Like, but that's what Capello implied, right? Right on his face. You don't have a plan B. So I agree with that point of yours. Like, it's not easy to take. So moving on, I think I'll touch upon press conferences later on as well. But I just wanted to look at certain the overall performance of the team, like the match against Shakhtar in a jiffy, and I just wanted to highlight a few players to begin with. What did you think of Eriksen? Because I personally felt this guy really showed some intent when he came on. I know, we've all have like majority of the or a lot of Inter fans have had their doubts. Eriksen not showing the right body language, the intensity, but the way he came on against Mönchengladbach, in my opinion, it was really good. Like I know it was. I'm not going to be reactionary. I know it was
You
less
mean
than.
Shakhtar, yeah?
Sorry, my bad. Shakhtar Donetsk. Sorry, my bad completely.
Right.
So yeah, Shakhtar. So what I mean to say is that, like that, I could see something in him. Like in my opinion, like even though it was like 7 minutes or whatever it was, it didn't seem as if he had given up. Because he could have very well said, Inter's cashing out. Why should I care? I'm gone in January, right? Like, why do I care? Well, like, I can just like walk about the pitch. I don't need to do shit, and But this guy came on and he started. He took those two shots from outside the box, which no one from the entire team took, and that's what we actually needed because Shakhtar had completely closed
Exactly.
us
Yeah.
out. Eriksen actually showed he rushed for corners. He actually took good corner kicks. Like, what do you make of it? Like, do you now think that even though it was like 7 or 8 minutes, do you think this can still be a turning point? I'll also add something to this because I was looking at Conte's press conference earlier before we started recording, Manish. Um, Conte, I don't know if he's given up. Like maybe he has, but he was yet again asked about Eriksen. He said that Eriksen maybe is taking more time than the others, but I am still working to get the best out of him. He is he's been a bit slower than others, is what he said basically. But it's not that I've given up on him. I'll continue working with him, and it is a possibility. You never know, Manish. It could be a turning point. I don't want to jump the gun, but after that, even Sky Italia reported that Eriksen is actually favorite to start in a 3-5-2 against Cagliari. So what do you make of it all?
So regarding the Shakhtar match, I would say, it was quite painful to watch. Why? Because that guy literally wants to prove a point. It was real painful. Why? Because you could see him. He had the training bibs on. He was running. I think from the 45th minute onwards, he was ready, wanted to get on the pitch. He's just begging for this minutes. So that was painful to watch because you know what? As a fan, you expect and you hope, okay, this guy's going to come soon. He's going to come soon. Okay, now is the time for Eriksen. But that time never came. That was really painful. Funny enough, I'll give a contrasting similarity. When Italy was qualifying for 2018 World Cup, it was similar scenario where the coach of Italy was Ventura. Everybody hated him, and the whole fans, the whole media was saying, use Jorginho in the team." He would somehow ignore him, call him and put him on the bench. I think not even call him. That was the best part. So and there's Italy versus Sweden. I think the World Cup qualifiers, and Sweden knocked Italy out 1-0. And the return leg, I think, was at San Siro in Milan. So the whole fans, the whole media was like, Ventura, you have to use Jorginho. He's the best playmaker Italy has. You use him. For some reason, he wouldn't budge. He did not use him. I think he could. I'm not sure if he came on the match for the last 5 or 10 minutes. So I feel this whole thing repeat, with Eriksen scenario where everyone from media, the fans, the players, bring on Eriksen, bring on Eriksen. That creativity spark is required because this time match you could see when he came on the 7 or 8 minutes, Inter seemed to be like you could see him taking long shots. You could see him doing the crosses. Everything seemed good, and I'm sure if Eriksen would have played the last 30 or 40 minutes, he would have got something out. Because this type of match, pretty much, Shakhtar, they said they planned such a way that to stop Inter. They seen Inter play, and they tried the best how to stop. Bringing Eriksen would add the element of surprise, and Shakhtar would be confused what to do. It was one of those games. Literally, he should have come, Eriksen. Saying that, I would say also you brought the second point of will he being back in the lineup. I would say last season, if you check under Conte, there was one player in that scenario, but he was not that famous. Do you know who it is?
Um, are we looking at Kandreva?
No,
No,
no.
you
It was
mean
Borja
from?
Valero. Borja
Oh,
Valero.
okay, okay, my bad. I thought you
So
meant from the get-go. Okay, okay,
So
yeah.
Borja Velo's type of player, which Conte somehow never wanted to use him. He hated him. He's saying this type of player, which I don't want. He has no work ethics. He doesn't run around much. So I would say that what we should sell him off. And never he gave a chance. That guy was working hard. He had good right age experience, but some reason he would never get called up. But when Conte later on realized the movement, his experience on the pitch, his calmness on the ball, and then Conte completely changed his mind about him. At first, he wanted to just release him, just terminate his contract and throw him away. But Borja Valero proved Conte that you know what, he deserves a place, and he played also I think second half of the season quite a bit with the injuries mounting up. Yes, so I hope something like that happens with Eriksen, and Eriksen suddenly, you know, the scenario changes. So saying that, Parmesh, I wanted to ask you about this guy, Sensi. What's happening with him? Do you think it was a foolish decision for us Inter management to get Sensi? Because, you know, you paid 20 odd million. It's not even cheap. We paid 20 odd million to sign a player who is barely fit, who can hardly play a whole 90-minute match. And now he's been out for the longest time. And when you hear Conte's press conference, he himself is clueless. He's saying, the intermedics saying is fine, I think is fine, but the player has some sort of pain. And this saga has been going on for the longest time. Like, what's happening? When we see Sensi play? And Sensi is a vital player, you know. So, what do you think on this whole Sensi fiasco?
Yeah, I mean, this is a question that I guess every interist asks themselves, right? Three players. I was, during the Shakhtar game and even after it, I had kept Rahul's, when he went live on YouTube, I kept this thing live watch along with him so that maybe just could get his perspectives on the match and all. And post match, somebody asked him, what's going on with Sensi? What's going on with Nainggolan? Like, where are these guys? Like, what are they up to? Like, what's with Nainggolan? What's with Sensi? So with Sensi, Manish, it's hard to say because as you said, after that, I remember that match against Juventus where he got injured last season. Since then, he's been out of it, man. Like, I I had followed Sensi before Inter, and at Sassuolo, he did have injury issues, but it wasn't this bad. Like, I don't know what's happening. Like, he had constant niggles, but he would come back soon. He would get into the 11, and he was a vital part of how De Zerbi played at his 11. So I don't know what it is because when I watch Conte's press conferences, what he says is that Sensi is fine, Sensi is back, but I need him to be in the optimal condition. Same thing he says for Raja Nainggolan. But for Nainggolan, we know that he lacks that motivation. He can get a bit lazy if he wants to. We have experienced that his lifestyle and everything. But with Sensi, I saw Sensi posting the other day, like maybe 2-3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago. I can't remember. He said, I'm back for good. Like he seemed confident that, his injuries are probably like not going to recur on this constant basis. Maybe he knew what was happening. I don't know. But I don't know what it's with Conte because I checked another post on Twitter by the reputed Daniele Mari, journalist who runs FC Inter News. He said that Sensi has been available for 2 weeks now almost. Like that's a long time, Manish. That's a long time to be,
No,
physically
but
fit.
Parameshwar, but knowing Conti, he's a big Sensi fan. All right,
Yeah.
he's a big Sensi fan. If Sensi was available, I'm sure rather than calling Eriksen last 10 or 15 minutes would have been Sensi. So I really think he's not
Mm.
fit. Although the media says he's fit, but I don't think Sensi is fit. But
Yeah.
saying that, I want to ask you, Param. Uh, we had a whole season with Sensi, and I think he pretty much missed the whole season. Like half the season, he missed. First half he played, and then he got the serious injury. Then he was out after the Juventus game. Do you think it was the club management's poor decision? Okay, although they gave a verbal confirmation with Sassuolo that we're going to sign him, verbal agreement was done, nothing concrete. The management should have stepped up and said, you know what, he's an injury-prone player, and we cannot sign him because or we should put some more conditions to him. You know what, if he plays 10 or 15 games a season, then we'll sign him or something like that, or extended loan just to evaluate his condition.
Mhm.
Do you think it's a flop signing by the Inter management, especially Sensi? Since we're talking a lot about Eriksen, I just wanted your perspective on
Mm.
this one.
Uh, See, Manish, I wouldn't call it a flop signing. See, my perspective of flop is really different. I don't know how others see it. What for me, when a football player becomes a flop is when he basically doesn't perform to the levels he's expected to on a consistent basis, given his reputation or given his, hype. That's a flop for me. But with Sensi, he's just been unlucky with injuries. It's not that, he goes and gets out injured intentionally. Something Keita Balde was accused of, like, being reckless and getting himself injured or extending his injury. But with coming to the main point, coming to the management's decision, now that I think about it, it could be a 50-50 because, see, we all know Sensi on his day is a really good player. We've seen it firsthand, when he's on form, when he's fit, he's really good. So from that perspective, I don't blame the management because we have a quality player. I mean, did the management consider his injury problems from Sassuolo? Maybe they did, but they didn't think that it would be this bad. Like it's been like it's basically twofold of what it was at Sassuolo. He's never there. So do I blame them? Not really, but yeah, maybe as you said, Manish, it could have been like a 2 year loan because a lot of clubs do 2 year loans in modern day football. So maybe we could have done that with an option to buy. I know we have excellent relations with Sassuolo, so that could have been worked on. Manish, this is something you can discuss. And if it didn't work out, we could have always gone for someone like a Locatelli later on because he's really good right now. So you as the management, you need to keep your options open. I'm not going to be overly critical of Beppe Marotta and Piero Ausilio, but yeah, I feel that something you can think it through better. Maybe 2 year loan deal with an option to buy, and
Correct,
maybe
correct.
obligation. Yeah, with
Sure.
certain
So
conditions. Yeah.
I just want to give you like two players example. Okay, one is Spinazzola, for example.
Hmm.
He seemed to be in condition for Roma. That time, the Inter management and the Inter medic stood up and said, "No, this guy has a tendency to get injured. We might sign him on a loan. Later on, sign him based on his physical condition." So seeing that, if Inter did the same with Sensi, I think this whole disaster would have been avoided. And now, second point, you just mentioned that if a player is not considered flop unless he doesn't play, if he gets injured, it's not considered. How would you rate, like, for example, Milan signing Caldara for Bonucci, direct swap? It was 40 million worth player, but that's a disaster signing, they say, because he hardly stepped on the pitch for Milan. So just to quick it up quickly, if you could just say, what do you think on both?
Yeah, I mean, it's upon the perspective you look at it from. Like, if you want to look at the financials and from the management's decision, you could call it a flop. Yeah, but like if you're looking at from the player's perspective, the potential ability, that's not a flop for me because Caldara moved to Atalanta recently, and whenever he played, he had good games. Like I know he's being injured there as well, but it's not that he's a bad player per se. That's what I meant. Basically, it depends on from what context you're viewing it from.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Okay.
So moving on, I guess that was about the score. So I guess we touched upon Eriksen's performance. Any other player you'd like to talk about, Manish, who caught your eye, maybe, or who could have done better, or
I think it was
yeah.
Lautaro Martinez because I
Mm,
was actually quite disappointed in him.
mm,
Yeah. So it seems even Conte is going to drop him for this Cagliari match because he seems to be completely offbeat. This guy in
mm.
Champions League did not perform this season for us, and we all Inter fans expected a lot. Uh, I was reading some funny comments on Facebook where it said Lautaro Martinez played with two left foot in that match because all his shots, for some reason, are all left footed. Like he rocketed in the sky. He could have taken some time, used his right foot, and placed the shot, but no, he went for his left foot all the time. So I think he had one of his worst games on Inter shirt. I really expected a lot from him because always the pressure's on Lukaku. I felt Lautaro, this was his chance to make immense of the first leg. He missed open net. Imagine if that had got in. So yeah, I was disappointed with that. But let's see on the Cagliari game. What about you, Parmeshwar? What do you expect on the Cagliari game? Any changes to the formation or what is it? What's your take on that
Yeah,
Cagliari match?
before I just touch upon the Cagliari game, I agree with you on Lautaro Martinez. Like I was like really disappointed because he had chances to score, yeah. And yeah, I mean, with the way Shakhtar played, sat deep, the defenders doing their job, everyone working hard, he had to take his chances. Moving on, Cagliari, I feel, in general are going to be a bit more open to play against because, this season I've watched them a lot and they've conceded quite the goal. They've already conceded what, if I'm not wrong, 20 goals. That's a lot, more than the goals they've scored. That's one. Diego Godin has been pretty decent over there, not looked himself exactly, but he's just coming back from COVID and everything. So I don't know if he'll start. With that being said, I expect it to be a more open game, Manish. I'm expecting the lineup to be something like, of course, Handanovic, no doubt there. I'm guessing D'Ambrosio starts this time over Skriniar just for rotational reasons, nothing special. I think De Vrij will retain his position because I think you need to have that balance. And maybe Kolarov, I guess, starts. I hope not. I hope not, but maybe it will be that. Left wing back, Perisic needs to come back because Young has been off it, Manish. You have seen it against
Oh
Shakhtar as well.
yes,
He made that
Young
one error.
was completely
Yeah,
pathetic.
exactly. He almost cost us a goal. I don't know what's gone wrong with him all of a sudden. Right wing back, I think Darmian should come in. And if Sky has said Brozovic, Gagliardini will pretty much be there. Vidal is still injured as Conte confirmed a while ago. And they're saying that Eriksen is expected to start in a 3-5-2, not a 3-4-1-2. And I think it's a possibility because, if you watch how Conte rushed Barella against Shakhtar, the way he got him into that match, he was not supposed to be there. And, Barella in the second half was pretty much exhausted way before than he usually is. It took a toll on him. You can't blame the kid, right? So I think this is a game where Eriksen has to start now. If you have only the league to focus and just use the depth and just get on with it. There's nothing else to worry about. And I think he's, as you pretty much said, Manish Lautaro, I think will this time see the bench. I think Sanchez will start. That's what's been happening. Because let's not forget, we have Napoli in the week. Even though it's only the league until February, as Conte pointed out in his press conference, it's still going to be games every 3-4 days. It's not a 7-day thing. So it's like still, Conte needs to work on his prep. So I think Sanchez will start. Lukaku with him. Of course, we don't have any vice Lukaku, proper vice Lukaku. So yeah, I mean, pretty much 3-5-2. Let's see how it goes, Manish. I'm expecting an open game, much more open game. I don't think Cagliari is gonna exactly sit back as like Shakhtar did. They like to take the game to their opponents. I'll just touch up on a few of their players. They have Giovanni Simeone coming back, so I don't know if he'll start exactly. But then, of course, I can see the smile on your face. Diego Cholo's son, Giovanni, so he's pretty lethal. So yeah, but I think they'll start with Pavoletti up front. He's okay, but I think their flank worries me a bit, wherein they have Sotil, the youngster, and everything. But yeah, I think if Diego Godin plays, it's going to be an interesting tie. Yeah, he's back from getting his COVID issues, and also let's see. And yeah, I guess if I don't think it's going to be a tight game, and this is a must-win, Manish, because even though we drew against Shakhtar, this was a tough one. Like this wasn't easy to take, and there is no other choice at this point, Manish. We have to win. We need to remember we are 5 points behind AC Milan. There's Juventus, there's Napoli on our tails. There's no choice now, and again we have to keep in mind that we face Napoli immediately. Crucial game. There's no two ways about it. So that's what I feel, Manish. But how do you see us lining up? How do you think we'll approach the game? What do you think?
So first thing, we have a huge squad. Now is the time
Mm.
where like a lot of players you could see like Barella. He started off well, although he had this injury issues. He started off well in the game, but as second half started slowly, you could see him wearing off. His influence of the match was going up. I would definitely put Barella on rest because we don't want to risk him. We might as well sit out 2 games, recover completely, and come back to the squad. Or we can have him for the Napoli game. It's really crucial for that. So definitely, I would suggest Barella to Conte hopefully rests him completely. Vidal is out injured. So right now we have just one proper fit midfielder, that's Gagliardini right now in the squad. So Eriksen hopefully gets the start with Brozovic. So Brozovic, Gagliardini, and Eriksen. That's like the favored lineup. They say 3-5-2. Hopefully Conte uses that and not put some surprises and bring Perisic as a central midfielder. I was hearing in that rumors, yeah, for some time. It scared a lot of fans out because he has no faith in Eriksen before the Champions League match. So that was one of the rumor thing. But saying that, Parmeshwar, one thing is always been challenging for us. Whenever we have this early kickoff, we always tend to struggle with the result for some reason. I don't know. For the longest time, I remember watching any early kickoff, on a Sunday afternoon. Uh, it has always been challenging with the scorching heat and sun. But now I think it's winter time, so it should not be much of an issue. So saying that, I would expect Sanchez and Lukaku to be up front. Ashley Young was completely like so poor. You could see that in the Champions League match. We expected a lot from the left flank. He was completely offbeat. I would definitely think Darmian is going to start the right wing and Perisic on the left wing. So this is the game where you said there are no excuses. Now we know we're out of Champions League. Close that chapter. Let's focus on the new thing. So hopefully Conte can instill, all the negativity from that previous match on motivating these players because this game, if we have a big result, it'll shut everybody up. It'll shut up the media. It'll shut the opposition, and in themselves can believe. You know what? Okay, we are out of Champions League. Okay, that chapter is closed. Let's all focus together as a team on the league. The league is the main priority. And like you said, Milan's already 5 points ahead. We cannot have any slip ups. Any slip up in this match, it means next game you're playing Napoli with a lot more pressure. So we don't need that at this point. So yeah, hopefully this result is favorable for us. But saying that we're playing away at Cagliari, it's going to be tricky always playing away games. But hopefully Conte uses his squad wisely and prepares for the best. So yes, I'm expecting again a very open game, and but Conte needs to use 3-5-2. Hopefully Eriksen can really fingers crossed for this one. Hopefully Eriksen starts. If he starts, definitely it's going to be a completely new scenario for us. If not, pretty much we know the result. Conte's going to sulk, we're going to ship him out, and stuff like that. But saying that Giovanni Simeone and Godin, these are the two main threats. I just think both of them coming back to the squad. I'm not sure if they start, but if they start, definitely it's going to cause us some sort of headaches for us, Parmeshwar. What's your
Yeah,
prediction, Parmeshwar, for the match?
yeah. I'd just like to touch upon a few things just before we dive into the
Right.
predictions. As you pointed out, Conte, as you said, this is his time. Like this is like the perfect opportunity for him to bounce back. It's only the league. Like, shut all that negativity out. I was just watching his press conference a while ago. This is where he said, he urged all Inter fans and whoever cares about Inter. What he said is, he pretty much knows what the negative talk going around. He knows, he sees it, he hears it. He said that whoever speaks like negatively of Inter, you just block them out. Yes,
Right.
this is a hard time. He didn't say that, but like it be about it being a hard time, but this is where he said, we all must come together. Like we need to stand together and shut all that negativity, because there's always someone who's going to talk trash about Inter. It. As you've been a fan for many years. There's always something negative about Inter. So he urged the fans to do it. He said, we yes, we didn't have a good Champions League campaign and all, but it's time to regather ourselves. We regroup, we focus, and we move on. Is basically what he meant. So it's Conte is not in the most favorable, like he's not the most favorable person right now from for a lot of Inter history. And I really hope somehow he gets through to people. I know it's not easy. It's not easy, but what he said in his press conference, I could really agree with for some reason, because yes, it seems all doom and gloom. Manish, we're out of the Champions League. It's really bad and all. We lost out on the revenue and everything. It affects our January window. But you also need to see it from the other perspective. You now as we've known, Conte is a specialist in like for one competition. So we can expect that from him. We have to back him and expect that he wins the title. So let's. I know it's really hard to take in the UCL exit. I know people hate Conte. A lot of people hate Conte right now. But I think it's time to back the team, regardless of what has happened. Time to back the coach. Yeah, and get back to it. And yeah, coming back to the prediction, Manish. Um, as you said, it's going to be a tricky game. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, even though they've just had some recoveries from injuries and COVID. I think let's say, Manish, maybe 2-1 or 3-2. And I know it like sounds very Pazza Inter and everything, but yeah, I think it's not that I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet in this one. Like I don't have a feeling, but yeah, I think let's say 2-1 or 3-2. Yeah, something like that. What do you think, Manish? Like, what's your prediction, and what do you, as I mentioned his press conference before, like, what do you make of him saying, we have to be on the same page, on the same boat, we have to look out for each other. Basically, is what he implied. And also, one more question. Sorry, I forgot to address this. Is I was very much surprised with what the Kurva Not said actually after the Champions League exit. They were like, we aren't here for opinions. I was very surprised when I read that, because Kurva Not always makes themselves known. Yeah, so they said, we aren't here for opinions. There's only one competition. You have to go for it. We will back you. So I just want your take on those three things. The prediction, Conte's presser just right before this match, and what Kurva Nord said here.
So, talking about as a club, ever since Zhang took over, one thing is we must not get hasty and fire coaches like the Moratti era. I think we used to fire coaches left and right. I'm sure if Moratti was the president, Conte would have lost his job immediately after the game. But saying that Zhang, we need some stability because every other year we start from year zero, we start from year zero. It makes absolutely no sense firing a coach midway. And saying that Champions League is not a target. I've brushed on this couple of times saying that okay, yes, it brings in revenue, yes, but we should not judge a team because our team, we all know, the fans know, isn't ready for the Champions League. We're trying to build a project starting with winning the league. And maybe I would say like 2 or 3 years down the line, yes, we will be one of the favorites for Champions League, but not now. So it's better to focus solely on the league. And I'm happy Zhang took a stand because I'm a big critic of Conte, but I would definitely support Conte at this point. I would not say fire Conti or Conti out hashtag, which absolutely is trending now all over the world. So I'm still backing Conti. I'm not yet the Conti out bandwagon. I didn't join it yet, but if the league results go some other way next couple of matches, then yes. But as of now, I'm still very much with the Conte project. So yes, the Kurva Nord said the similar thing. He said, you know what, our focus should be on the league, and that's the competition where Conte will be judged at the end of the day. If he doesn't deliver the league, that's where I'll consider his time a failure or not. So yes, I'm happy the Kurva supported him. I'm happy the Inter management, the club supported Conte. Now Conte doesn't have any excuse saying that the board didn't back me or the management didn't back me or the fans didn't back me. The fans are by his side, the management is by his side. Now Conte must show his magic. Like you said, he's a specialist for league. If it's once a week matches, that's where he likes to, set his team. So I'm happy. I'm happy. Conti is completely now. It's like one of those horses. We've seen a horse race. The horse have the
Hmm.
blinders. Where the focus is on the league. So I hope Conti has set his blinders right for at the league, and he must step the accelerator for it. Somehow he should go and win the league. So starting with the transfer market, January is going to be very tricky because a lot of players we're going to ship out, a lot of new players coming in, and yeah, hopefully it's an exciting project for January. Now talking about the predictions, I think it's the whole negativity around Inter. It's very much toxic, the environment. So I'm not expecting an easy match where Inter goes all smiles and beating them. Hopefully I'm proven wrong. Whenever I give a prediction of an Inter draw, Inter's always proved me wrong. So saying that, I'm going with a draw result. I think it's going to be a 1-1 result. Uh, Hopefully I'm proven wrong. Fingers crossed for that. But yes, but I think the Champions League result has taken a toll on a lot of players. Like Lukaku, is being a very emotional guy, and his Sanchez's header, which he blocked off in the later on stages of the match. I hope that doesn't take a toll on Lukaku. But yeah, so I'm going to expect a little Inter to take time to settle in this match and Cagliari to hit us on the counter. And very much we get a late equalizer, and it's going to be a 1-1 draw. And all pressure coming off the next match against Napoli. That's my prediction for this match.
Quite interesting, Manish. Yeah, I mean, I think I sort of agree. Like, yeah, it's not really gonna be easy going into this match. Yeah, like I mean, that pain's gonna be there, as Conte said. He actually did address this. That the team is a bit off, like, but it's like he did say that we are gonna use it as motivation to come back in it. And he also, what you pointed out, Manish, that Zhang actually backed Conte. Conte actually acknowledged that. He said, Zhang said all this yesterday, and he said it's out there for itself. So it's good to see that there are signs of the club probably being on the same page. I hope that it is, because Conte isn't that type of guy who will admit it. We've seen it now, but it was good to see that. And yeah, I mean, let's hope for the best against Cagliari. It's not going to be easy. And then yeah, we have Napoli to touch upon. Like, I guess, like 3-4 days after that, it's not going to be easy as well. But I really hope we get this win. And yeah, I guess this could be the make or break match. Maybe it's too soon, but you know, like Conte as a coach, since we all keep saying he's good when he focuses on one competition. Maybe he can beat Cagliari and Napoli at once. We don't know. Napoli are flying high as well. But let's hope that we can get a win and cap off a good week to come. So yeah,
Yes.
please do subscribe to our channel. We'll be leaving the links for our Twitter handle and everything on the description. And do give us a follow. And yeah, that's about it. Let's hope that we can cap off the week with two good wins, and yeah, have ourselves a good week to look forward to.